Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1971 Winter Baseball Classic Tournament. Tournament's ready to go. I got the draft results finalized. I'll show you how that was done and how the roster sheets were set up as the league begins the tournament. Actually, when the tournament starts, I'll probably skip a little bit into the middle of it. There's no reason to broadcast this entire tournament, as it's not really a significant amount of baseball. I'll move into the middle rounds till the end of the tournament for brevity's sake, and then try and get the first elimination games of each of the teams. But for now, you get to see the 20-man rosters for all of the teams, with a grand total of 320 players in the Winter Baseball Classic. The first team, the worst team a year ago, initials HAX for Halifax, they drafted first overall, and it scrolled down their cluster of 20 players here. And then in groups of 20, the next teams through team 16, which is right here. 16 times 20 is 320. That is HOH for Hollywood, who won it last year, and has some guys trying to come back and win it again a year later. So in the draft results, what you'll find is that the waivered players, this is all, of course, for scouting and spring training for the Summer League. Each of the 16 teams has exactly four players highlighted in yellow who were put on waivers to find new teams this year, and this is sort of like their spring training and their scouting and seeing how good they are. And most of these guys aren't particularly good. That's why they're on waivers. So at least I get to play them in this tournament to see if they'll get picked up. And a little bit better player, we have the blue keepers, and this could be a varying result on team, drafting on need. And also historically who has played for them in previous Winter Baseball Classics. So these are keepers. They're definitely one of the 4 years of these players will be used in the Summer League. Now, just briefly, I can tell you in the record field 1 here, we have Billy Williams. I can tell you right off the bat that it won't be this year for him, because 72, he has a monster year, hits 333. But I can tell you by looking at his stats, 71 isn't that bad either, folks. 71, here's home runs, 28. Here's batting average, 301. He's got an 888 OPS. So if I wanted to, I could say, well, why don't we just wait next year and add the 72 card, and this year I'll add the 71 card. That's kind of why we do this process. We get to see all these cards. So the blue cards, we're evaluating to see which of the 4 years we're going to use in the Summer League, and we're seeing the 71 version of this player, knowing that there's probably a 72, 73, and 74 version of the player. The colorless ones here are the guys who have not been in the league yet because their cards are pretty bad. They're usually rookies, AAA players rushed to the bigs too soon, guys who got called up in September who aren't very good. And Strat printed their card because they had to print 576 cards for 71, to complete the 20-man rosters and the 4 extra players per team. Some of them are good, some of them are not. Actually, if they were good, they would have already been picked up in the Summer League, but here they are. Not a lot, but at least it gives a valuation for them. And of course, the light green shaded players. These are guys who are in the Summer League with a different year in the future. Eddie Watt, here's some names here. Ed Watt, Stan Bonson, Ken Holtzman. I got their 71 cards in this tournament. However, we know Ken Holtzman's 72 card just appeared in the World Series last year and will be used again for Oakland. Stan Bonson, I believe, is on the White Sox with his 72 card. That card will be used again. But I have their 71 cards here to participate in the tournament because I need bodies, I need players. So that's what this is. It's a mixture of AAA guys, a mixture of an occasional Hall of Famers tossed in here, an All-Star. It's really a mixed bag of players, kind of strewn about 16 different little towns across the U.S. and Canada, and it's kind of like a minor league tournament. You know, it lasts through the month of March when it will conclude. When it concludes, I'll start drafting the Summer League. The guys who didn't make it, here are the list of Strat cards that are in the box for 1971 who have a future card in 72, 3, or 4. So frankly, it doesn't really matter. Guys like Dusty Baker, he's better in 72. In 71, Dusty Baker is 226. No real reason to look at that card. Mike Marshall, the great relief pitcher, he's got a 4.28 ERA. No need to look at that because in 70 he was brilliant, and then in 74 he'll win the Cy Young Award, pitching 200 innings out of the bullpen. So a lot of these cards, you know, Joe Rudy's 71 card, he hits 267. They don't go to the World Series in 71, the A's. So you see a very young Jeff Burroughs and Toby Harrah here. They're still Washington Senators players. They're too young. They don't contribute yet. So there's no reason to play these cards. There were some keeper cards who didn't get drafted, foreboding they might be picked up in a different year as well. Looking at this list, Carl Morton has a 4.80 ERA, and it's one of the worst of the 4 years. So it's doubtful that card will get picked up. Clendenon's card will get picked up. It's just that there was a glut of first baseman. I looked at this card for Don Clendenon. It's a very nice card. It's 247, about a 713 OPS in half a season. Plenty of power. But there was a log jam at first base. Couldn't fit him. Bernie Carbo in 71 has kind of a downer year after 70. This card only hits 219. And you can see the other stats here, 242, 214. You see Lenny McDaniel, who's usually always, even in his mid-30s, he usually always has an ERA around 2.5. It's 504 in 71. It's the odd year, didn't pitch very well. So anyway, these 6 guys just weren't worth getting into the tournament. A retired Frank Baker wasn't. The last chance of these guys here, which doesn't forebode very well, does it? They can't even make a tournament. And again, these are guys who OPS of like 525 and so forth. Pitchers with ERAs and whips above 160. So doubtful that they miss the tournament, but yet they make it into the Summer League. And of course, we always have the purple shaded cards. I call them the 300 cards. These are the cards that I handwrite into the league so I can distribute the talent through the 32 Summer League franchises. So after that is done, the next step is to sort the results by hitter and by pitcher. And this makes for some convenience, as I simply copy the team code, the player name, and the defense. This is something I have to copy over, the defense, because the E-ratings. Because I'm using, of course, first edition from 71, and the very first, I might mention, the very first 71's super advanced with the platoon splits on a double-sided card. But they didn't have the E-ratings. I had to compute E-ratings. And I did that from the years of 1971 through 1976, as Strat-O-Matic put E-ratings on the cards in 1977. So this is the first year I'll have to carry all of the E-ratings into the game player spreadsheet so I can see them as I play the game. And you'll see that in a moment here. Let's go to a game setup. This looks, the spreadsheet looks, the colors are different, and of course these logos are different because they're fictional. But this will be the first game I will play. Hollywood defending its championship against SeaTac, Seattle Tacoma. Let me skip for a moment to the roster building. And this is the very important spreadsheet where if you were using the standalone spreadsheet I have in the HTML, you would copy in your hitters for each team, 20 hitter names, 8 pitching names, and then you could copy in 12 E ratings and 8 E ratings there for position players and for pitchers. Now, of course, like I said before, I simply went over here and I copied the team code, the player name, and the E rating, and I copied that over here into these 3 columns. So it's all in the spreadsheet, and then all I have to do, for instance, for like for Athens right here, I would simply go find the first 12 names, scroll down to the Athens chart here, and paste it without the shading, just the data. Got the player names there, and then I would just take their E ratings right here and put them in the next, paste special in the next area right there. And then you do the same things for the pitchers and the pitcher E ratings. And then from there, you can just play a game by hitting the macro to introduce the teams that I'm playing for that particular round. So this is set up right now to play the first game of the tournament. And then of course I have a stats compiler, of course, but I also have, here is the tournament schedule. So this tournament schedule, let me come over here for a moment, and this is the final results from a year ago. Remember I showed you HAX was the worst team. They were 2-7. You don't win your first 2 series means you lost 7 games. You've lost a best of 7 and a best of 5. You have 7 losses. And Hollywood won the whole thing, finishing 18-9. 122 game tournament. Some years it's 126 games, some years it's 118 games, depending on how competitive it is. So the seeding, there are 4 regions. The green region, or I'm going to give you a little bit more history here. I thought this would be kind of fun to do. So originally, a long time ago when I first did this, I did this in the 1990s, and I ordered a set of cards from Chris Rosen, actually, through the mail. It was a 1980 set. It was incomplete. And that's where I came up with this idea to randomly create fictional cities and shuffle the cards up, play a little tournament. And I simply, just to, separate the cards in a box, I used some construction paper. It was color coded, one of those boxes of paper you can get with multiple colors, and there was a green, yellow, red, purple, and blue construction paper. So I had 20 teams. I had a green division, a yellow division, a red, a purple, and a blue division. And the funny part about it is that the 4 left out teams that you don't see are teams that are in the Summer League. It's that expansion Portland team, the expansion Las Vegas team, the team I call the Ohio Players as a tribute to the band, and the Expos, who I moved to Burlington, Vermont. So it's funny, but there were 5 divisions, and each color code has 4 teams in there. You see that if you add see the reds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. The yellow division was left intact. Nobody from the Sun Belt, Savannah, Georgia, St. Petersburg, Florida, Athens, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. And again, these are all cities I've traveled to that I thought would be fun to have a fictional team. And so I had to squeeze it into 4 divisions, and so that's why you see poor Vancouver has to do a lot of traveling. I pulled them out of the West Coast, and I put them in what I call the islands. So it's Vancouver Island in Victoria, Coney Island, Rhode Island, and Halifax. The Sun Belt stays the same. The Gulfport, I guess, off the Mississippi River, and Tucson doesn't play far enough out west, so they got moved over there. And then on the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest and Southern California, we have Chula Vista or San Diego, Coronado, any of those towns, Cardiff by the Sea, around San Diego would suffice. Hollywood, California, and of course in the Northwest, Missoula and SeaTac. So this is the schedule this year. The 4 seeds are the teams with the worst record a year ago against the 1 seeds in a best of 7. The first round is a best of 7. If you look here, these are results from a year ago. Hollywood, for instance, was in this bracket here a year ago, because I've since moved them for this year, and they won that 4-0, and eventually Hollywood won the whole tournament. If I scroll all the way down here, Hollywood is a number 5 seed, beat number 7 seed Tucson to win the whole thing. But anyway, the first round of the tournament is a best of 7. Then I have a winners and losers bracket. The winner bracket is a best of 5, and a loser bracket best of 5. If you lose in the losers bracket, you're done, because that means you've lost 7 games. So that gets rid of 4 of the 16 teams. If you win in the winners bracket, you get a bye, and there's some, because you have 7 wins. The middle 8 play a best of 3 to eliminate 4 more. And then after that, you add the records to what they need to advance in a best of 5, and then finally a best of 7 for the semifinals and the finals. I don't like to call this a World Series. That'd be really silly. But I mean, this takes about 3 weeks to play. And I've been doing this longer than I've been doing the carryover league. I've been doing it, like I said, since the 1990s. It's really kind of funny that I just have a lot of fun in spring, because it really, you know, gets you excited about the weather getting warmer and spring training's coming along and baseball season's coming. So I look forward to every February and March to doing the Winter Baseball Classic. And so with that, we'll do a little pause here, and when we resume, we'll pick up with some of the games in the middle of this tournament. Thanks for checking out this video, folks, and we'll see you next time.